It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. Yo, man. Boom, Miss Rusty. What is up, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, the public access podcast here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network. I am your host, Rusty Diamond. And you can check out other great shows that I co-host here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, such as When the Gloves Come Off, the Thinking Man's Pro Wrestling Podcast. This is It with Lizzie and Saved by the Ben. And this show is brought to you by Stoner Eats Productions, Fred Ben Savage as Fuck, Hardcore Entertainment, Hypnosis is Great, and Sock'emUp.org. Everyone, thank you so much for being here. Like, share, subscribe. Check out all the past guests. Go do the same for them. I bring them on. They're obviously cool people. So enjoy that. But I'm going to add another feature on here, another new feature, because that's what's up today. So let's check this out. So I had a buddy call yesterday. I used to do this on my old show, and I guess this show back a long time ago. And so he called me and he reminded me of this with this message he left on my phone.
Messages. We don't leave no stinking messages.
So if you guys want, you can call and leave a message. I'll play it on the air unless it sucks. Well, you guys, I doubt it's going to suck because you're putting it in. And I want you guys to be able to have your voice here on the show, even if it's for a few seconds. And so to do that, you can just call up my cell phone number, leave a message. It's 503-974-6420. Again, 503-974-6420. You just leave a message. That's easy. That's real easy. And I'll play it on here probably. So I want to bring on my guest today, right here, right now, right here, right now. We have Angel Tuccy. How you doing, Angel?
I'm doing great today. How are you, Rusty?
Pretty well. I'm enjoying the day. I'm going to go out after this. I found out I'm going to go. So I used to do, I kind of do. I used to have a shop. I used to have a vintage shop. And so
I have a dream of owning like kind of a dream, right? Like, I just think it would be a really fun gig, like to own a vintage shop by the beach as like my retirement thing.
It's not a bad deal. It's not, if you have the right place, and it can be good. I don't know. But with now, if you can do the online part, you might not need a shop, like a storefront even, which is kind of what I found. But okay. I do know a lot of people that have shops, and it works out pretty well. But
yeah, I was kind of thinking it would be like kind of like a little like community center where people came and hung out and like saw the neighbors, and we could do like little workshops and community events like happy hours and coffee shops. Like it'd be like more like a gathering place, and to get people in and hang out, and and I don't know. It's like I just had this picture. Then some days I could put a sign up and said, "Sorry, gone to the beach, right? Come back tomorrow." And I don't know. It's like, I know it's like a fantasy way of running a business. It's probably not the most productive online business, but this was more like my retirement plan.
Yeah, when the surf's good, nobody works.
So tell me about your shop. Like when did you have it?
So I had it, well, okay, let's see, to back it up. So during, I guess, it might have been right before the shutdown. What part of the country are you in here?
I'm currently in Florida, but during the pandemic, I was in Denver.
Oh, okay. So you got a lot of the shutdown. Okay. So, okay. So I was in Minnesota at the time. I was right by Minneapolis, and
Oh, see, that's where I actually got the idea. We went for a wedding and it was in this teeny tiny little town that was like a train depot. And I just thought, oh, you could like open up this used bookstore or like a vintage store. Like that's where the idea spawned off, because we were in Minnesota for a wedding. Oh my gosh, this is so bizarre.
where in Minnesota were you?
Oh my gosh. Oh shoot. It was this teeny tiny little town. There was nothing there but a beautiful wedding venue.
Yeah.
It was built after a train depot, and it had like this old, like historic town, right? From, when the train was coming by, and like there was like dairy. They did like, they produced cheese or dairy or something there. I don't remember the name of the town.
It's Minnesota was a wild place. I was there for a couple of years. And so I started watching these YouTube videos. There was one like people going to garage sales, and then I was also interested in one that was dumpster diving, and I was like, okay, this seems interesting. And then I started seeing people are getting out of the dumpster, and I'm like, oh, we got to go dumpster diving. And it didn't quite go over as well as I thought. It's like, if you want to go dumpster diving, you can go on your own, but I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay home. And so I didn't really get into dumpster diving that much, but one of the things that they were saying that people needed and that was selling all the time really well was Harley Davidson stuff. And so I saw a thing on Facebook that someone was selling Harley Davidson stuff. And so I went over there, and apparently what had happened, it was a husband and wife, and they were riding, and he ended up getting hit by a semi truck and killed.
Oh no. Oh my gosh, this is a terrible story.
Yeah. And so she wanted to get rid of everything.
Yeah.
Oh
my gosh, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And so I went over there, I'm like, and she told me the story. I'm like, okay, well, look, like now I don't know if I want to buy. She's like, I need you to get rid of this right now. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever you want, like I want to buy everything, but like whatever you want, please just take it. I'll take it out of the price. I don't care. That's fine. Keep whatever you want. And so she kept a few things, but she wanted to get rid of pretty much everything that reminded her of, writing and stuff. But that unfortunately was how that started. And then the shutdown happened, and not everyone, a lot of people had a lot of disposable income to buy a bunch of crap off online.
Yeah, right.
And so it blew up. It went crazy, and I was finding all this stuff, especially like TV VCR combos and like the Guitar Hero Rock Band things.
Yeah, right?
I was finding those things were selling for crazy amounts of money. And I was just going through them all the time. And then we had to move. And a little before we moved, so on sometime in April, so this goes back to the dumpster diving. They have you put out your garbage one time a year, and they'll pick up anything. Put it out on the curb.
Okay. Okay. We have that, like really weird random stuff here. They'll come and pick up, right? Like you can just throw everything that you can't normally just dispose of at the end of your driveway. Right.
And so I went out that morning before the garbage man came, and just started going through people's trash, and found more TV VCR combos, found some more Guitar Hero things. But the thing that's the craziest, the garbage truck it was a little cul-de-sac, and the garbage truck was about to go on this cul-de-sac, would have picked this up. It was a bin, like this big. So like, like a, 2 feet long, a foot wide, and maybe a foot and a half tall. Was it? It says 58 quart. So it was a 58 quart, or I don't know, 18 gallon, some shit like that thing. But it was full of like old Nintendo games, and like this kid must have been some big nerd that probably lived at his house forever, and his parents were just finally like, okay, like, we need to get rid of this stuff, because it was all these games that were a whole bunch of fantasy games and all these games that were pretty spendy. I ended up making a
Yeah,
good.
his parents had no idea the value, right?
Nope.
It's just taking up space. And
Yep.
that's the thing. Like they say, one man's trash is another's treasure, right? Like it's just taking space, it's collecting dust, nobody's using it, it has zero value to me.
Yeah.
You come along,
Yep.
you're like, oh my gosh, it's like a treasure chest, right? Like
Yeah.
a pirate just found gold and coins and rubies and jewels.
Yeah. And I mean, that paid for, so we were moving. I mean, that paid for all our moving expenses. Just that little box with like everything. And, still some left over. And then,
That's exciting. I love that. We paid for a family trip. We took our kids to Europe for 5 weeks, and we paid for that trip by selling stuff. Like we had the mother of all garage sales, right? Like we sold, like we just had like went through, and we were aggressive about, okay, do we really want this? Do we really need this? We recycled stuff, like recycled, wires. My husband was in construction, and so we went and recycled stuff. We took stuff to the consignment stores. Like, I mean, what can we sell? What can we sell? We paid for a family trip for 5 people to go to Europe, just massively getting rid of stuff.
It's awesome. And then how nice was it to not have all that stuff around your house?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, double win, right? I ended up on the Peter Walsh. I don't know if you know who he is, but he's like one of the great organizers, and he had a radio show at the time. I ended up on his radio show talking about it because of the declutter and the cleanse and like getting rid of. And then of course, not taking on the debt of such a major vacation, right? Being able to go into it without credit card debt, and not coming home with credit card debt from a great big family vacation. And then while we were there, because it was 5 weeks and we were doing public transportation, taxis and trains and all of that, we each, we were very minimalistic in how we packed and things that we were buying. And it completely impacted. We came home to this really clean house. We had been living minimally, right? Going through Europe. And for many years, right, we were just kind of in that space, but you drift.
Yep. I mean, yeah, same thing happened to me. I drove from Portland, Oregon out to Minnesota, and I had everything I owned in a little 2-door Toyota Echo. And then I moved out there, and then once I moved to another place in Minnesota, then I accumulated a lot of stuff that I was selling, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we're gonna move, and we're gonna move to Utah, and so then didn't have enough time to sell it, so I ended up bringing all this crap over to Utah. And then I had a storage unit for a month, and then I found a place, and just like, okay, well, if I'm already paying for this, I may as well just get a place to rent for a store. And so I got a store and had that signed a year lease for that, and paid it up front.
How cool is that? Instead of renting a storage unit, let's buy a storefront and and make some money, right? That's kind of brilliant.
Yeah, it was pretty nice. I do feel that I may have been that's a whole different story about what I was living in Salt Lake City, and so it was a little different there. And but I also had a thing there where I was let's see, there's this thing called Wish, Wish, the cheap app with all the crap trinket
Oh
things.
yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It was around for a short, I think it's still around, but they had this thing where you could order the stuff and pick it up in a shop. And these shops could go and, sort of like picking up packages at a store. Like if you can go and accept packages for USPS or UPS, they'll give you some sort of cut for money and
for
bring a little
sure.
traffic in. But
Yeah.
let me tell you about the people that were coming who wanted to not have Wish stuff sent to their house. And the times they would call me, because I wouldn't be in there all the time. I'm like you. I'm when the surf's good, whatever I was doing, I'm not going to be at work. So just I'd have these people who mostly I have a feeling were on some sort of something or other, and is a little concerning when they come up to your door. And so I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. Can I just get out of the program and give it to someone else in the area? And they're like, well, no, you can just go and keep all this stuff and we'll take your name off. So I ended up with a bunch of other crap, which I ended up just selling as well.
Well, that's kind of handy, right? I remember we had some friends who kind of did that with the U-Haul moving or rent, you could rent trucks.
Oh yeah.
And they were looking for little offshoots, right? So if you had a parking lot, a place you could park trucks in, they would send you people rentals who wanted to rent moving trucks. And again, bringing new traffic into your stores, it's great collaboration. They set you up with all the systems and all of the things. So it's just, it's a little, there's so many ways to make money, right? Like there's just really random things that you would never even think of. Like you don't have to own stuff. I mean, this is where Airbnb, right? And just disrupted the hotel industry, right? Disrupting all of these different, economic sources. But as an entrepreneur, I mean, we were one time we were in San Diego and I saw this guy on a scooter and he had like a broom pole and he had all these scooters, like 3 or 4 of them on this side and 3 or 4 of them on this side. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I pick them up every night. I charge them. They pay me $25 a scooter if I would just, if I charge them and return them. I'm like, that's a pretty cool gig, right? Like he just has to go through and he has a little map, tells them where they are. He goes and picks them up, plugs them in, takes them back in the morning. He has the rest of his day to just do whatever, right? I mean, it's just so creative. It is just so creative.
Yeah, and I think there, especially during the shutdown, everyone had to get creative on how to do stuff as well. And then, once, so I got tired of Salt Lake City. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take living there. I had to get out. I was done. I was just like, nope, can't be here anymore. And so then I was asked, like, what would be the cost to just get rid of, like, sell your story as a turnkey business? And I came up with a number in my head and I asked for double that.
And that's good, right? Okay, I think it's this.
Yeah.
I'll ask for twice that, right?
Yep.
There's a good business model too.
Yeah, and then someone offered me the amount that I had in my head, my original number, and sold it. And then I had,
because that's how they come in. They're like, well, if that's the number, I'm going to offer you half, right? So like the two sides of negotiation. I'm going to ask for twice what I really want. Well, I'm going to only offer half of what they're asking, and then everybody wins in the middle.
Yep, I think they're getting a killer deal from someone, and I'm happy with that. I didn't need to negotiate anymore. I knew what I wanted, and I was totally fine with that. And so sold that, took the money, and then moved out here, and now I'm starting to grab a few things again, but I'm not going to do that again. I just I was getting tired of going to
do you do an online
shops.
you do an online store now? Because I mean,
Kind of. I mean, yeah, and I was doing Whatnot a lot. There's this app Whatnot, and it started out with cards like magic cards and baseball cards, Pokemon cards, stuff like that. But it transferred over to clothes, and I was one of the first people on there for clothes to sell. And so it's like there's some stuff, I think it's Depop, I think is one, and they do some stuff where you basically, I'd be on here like this live show, hold up a shirt, show it around, and then like start bidding, like bids would start. And then, so I mean, I could sell, 200, shirts, 100 shirts in 3-4 hours, and just and go.
I've done they call like little trunk shows, right? Where they're like,
Right.
okay, right. And they hold it up, they model it. I've got, these sizes, type it in, right? Place your order right there. I'm like, the technology these days is so cool. Even from a consumer. I mean, I have my groceries delivered.
Oh yeah.
We do so much, right? My kids practically bought a home from their phone, right? All of the apps and applications and the DocuSigns and all of that. And here's my credit and here's this, right? They mostly, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what technology has just opened up doors for.
Yeah, it's
Good and
really
bad, I'm sure,
yeah.
but I, we're entrepreneurs, so I'm always looking for, commerce on how we can create that.
Right. And I think that's what, a lot of people are trying to do. And if you're not, I mean, you're kind of, I don't know, there's no reason why you shouldn't be, unless, especially if you don't need to have like, physical stuff, which is
Right?
the best.
Print on demand. I mean,
Yeah,
the
which
print
is,
on demand world is amazing. And I mean, it's kind of, it used to be the only, like, to be like the middleman was more like in the network marketing world, right? You'd have
right.
a company, right, with all the products and the research and the warehouse, but we need boots on the ground to get it to the market. Well, now, right, like it's all marketing. Like they need marketers, right? We've got product, we've got a service, we've got an app, put you in the middle. Same thing with Uber, right? You got a car, we got an app, put you in the middle. Airbnb, put you in the middle. Products, services, books, tchotchkes, right? Like any of it. It's an amazing time we're in. And if you want to make money, you can.
Yeah. And own nothing and be happy is kind of what it's what it's turned
And
into.
now we're all like, okay, how do we streamline? How do we get back to like a simpler time and easier and not and I think we're all kind of becoming also super addicted, right? Like we just always have to have a screen in front of us, right? Always listening to something, like always something in our ears. I think we're like sensory overload all the time. And so having technology breaks, right? Breaks from just the screen screen time and even audio, I think is just so important these days to just unplug, right? Just unplug for a little while.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, usually at the end of, or, like 3-4 o'clock, I'm usually, everything's off. I don't want to be looking at a screen. It's weird being back in, I wasn't doing podcasts for a while, and then I just kind of got back into it. But now I'm back to looking at a screen, but then I don't have to own a bunch of stuff, even though I bought all this stuff, which I bought like, oh, get the whole podcasting thing. I got a controller board. I got the nice fancy mic, the windscreen, and
got a
nice
cute little
headphones.
Stream Deck thing here, so I can change screens and have it all like at a touch of a button. And you've got the whole setup. But look what you can do with all of that. I mean, you don't need all the setup. I think people can get started really simply.
Yep.
You can
$22.
as you grow.
Yeah. $22 for this, and that's all I use now. I got rid of my board, and I just plug right into my computer. $22 off Amazon, and then Spotify, it's free. Spotify for podcasters is free, and then you can have as many episodes you want up there. They'll monetize it when you get to that spot. And I mean, there's no reason not to. There's not any excuses now for anything, I guess. It's not, oh, it's too hard, it's too much of a big investment, but it's not.
It's not. It really isn't. I mean, if you just trade 15 minutes of something, right? You could either work out, you could start a new hobby, you could start a new business, right? You could make relationships, learn something new, just take 15 minutes away from some downtime, some things that aren't being productive. You don't have to go like swing the pendulum and, okay, it's going to take me 60 hours a week to do this. No, just take 15 minutes a day and focus on a new habit, a new revenue stream, right? Learn something new, create something. And you're fine that every single one of us, this is like the great, equalizer is time.
Right.
You don't have more time than I do. Nobody has more time than I do, right? And I don't have more time than somebody else, right? They don't have, we all have the exact same amount of time. And you look at some of the people that are just doing some amazing things and getting things done, they have the exact same amount of time. And in some cases, right, they're running multiple businesses. They also have families, right? There's we all bring, right, what we want to the day. And, we are not trees, we can move. This is what ended up happening. I lived in Denver for 21 years. Actually, I lived there for 35 years. I lived in the same house for 21 years. But we realized during the pandemic, I can work from anywhere, right? It's all digital now, everything, nothing was live, nothing was in person anymore. It was all digital. A friend of mine had bought an RV and he's like, Angel, you should buy an RV and you could, my wife and I were going to travel. You and your husband should just travel. And I thought, well, RVing is not really my thing, right? That wasn't on my bucket list, but I could move. And my kids lived in Florida. My parents lived in Florida. The weather was, sunny and warm in Florida versus cold and snowy in Denver. I was kind of tired of the snow, but because everything I do is virtual and I could build my business online, I could go anywhere. And now we live in vacation world. We live in Orlando next to Disney. My kids all work at Disney World. All three of my adult kids, they all just bought a house together. Again, from their phones practically. And, we have a swimming pool. It's warm. People come here on vacation. My life just totally shifted and changed, but my business came with me and my ability. And then my husband, I was telling you before we went live, we bought this house that was a total fixer upper. And he spent the first year fixing things. There's just everything, every light bulb was burnt out. The doors had been painted shut. There was just all this, everything was broken. It had a beautiful paint job, so it looked beautiful. Of course, got a 30-page inspection report when we bought it, but he just spent the year fixing it because he's handy, and he decided to start a YouTube channel showing people how to fix stuff around the house. And he just after, was it 9 months, however long it was, October to June, he just kind of scraped by putting videos out. You get 100 views, a couple hundred views, this one might have gotten 1,000, right? He's just squeaking by, but he didn't give up and he didn't quit, which is what we all do. That thing didn't work. That thing didn't work. But last Friday, 1 week ago from the recording of this, Rusty, he crossed over 1,000 views or 1,000 subscribers, which means so cool. You have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours before you can start to monetize with ad revenue. In a week, he now has over 8,000 subscribers and he has over 1 million views and he's making about $200 a day in ad revenue. And when you count that up, you're that's 70 grand, right? That could be, I know it's not going to be steady like that, but it's just incredible. It's he focused on it. He stayed the course, right? That's the thing, follow one course, one system, one program, one product for 1 year and let it really monetize. And it works, right? It works.
Yeah.
So
it's pretty nice to be able to do that. And it's kind of passive income. You still are creating all the time, but
But
in
he's
a way,
creating
I mean,
anyways,
yeah,
right?
making
I mean,
money while he sleeps.
this is the thing, is you're creating anyways. Like this is how you can like monetize your knowledge, right? Is what do you know? What are you doing? Like if that can be a video series, it can be, online courses, it can be, if you know how to price things and kind of gather things, right? Selling, being the middleman for selling, like there's whatever it is you love. I've got another gal, she's starting a clothing store, consignment clothing store. But she helps women get back up on their feet who have, gone through some trials. And so she's creating this boutique with like makeovers and all of that. And she loves that. And when you love what you do, right? They say you never work a day in your life. So
Right.
it's
And
exciting.
but okay, whoever told you that in school? Whoever, when we were in school, whoever said, "Oh, you know what? You can when you you
Yeah,
can
you're
if
gonna
you love it."
you're going to make money, playing video games online. You're going to make money, selling your used stuff. Like that's a hobby, right? It's kind of like
Right.
artists,
Yeah.
right? Artists, like anything in theater and arts, like there's no money in that. Turns out,
Yeah.
right? Nobody knows that. I'm like, nah, 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 nah.
Yeah. Now here it is. And now you don't have to sit in traffic. I mean, yeah, and like I was laid up for, I don't know, maybe 2 years or so, at least a year and a half. Like I could barely walk. But I was going out and doing stuff, but it'd be like no more than a half hour at a time. But then I could also do my work sitting in bed. I could, because it would be, it was so in 2019 people weren't using Zoom very much, so it was kind of iffy. And so like that's when when I went to Minnesota, I was like, oh, I'm going to be snowed in for 6 months out of the year. And I was working with some people who were didn't like leaving their house, and so I didn't have to have an office. I didn't have to have an office to be able to bring people into. And so to hypnotize people, I was started doing it over Zoom, and then that worked. And then people were still kind of iffy about it. And so, business wasn't great. And then as soon as the shutdown happened, everybody started using Zoom. And I mean, then it was just like, yeah, I can sit in my underwear and let my back heal somewhat and get paid. And it works out okay. Like I still love it. I still love hypnotizing people. There's nothing like it, and nothing like getting hypnotized either. And
I've been to some events, right, where and I know some fun. Well, you were in Utah. We probably know a couple of. We probably might have a couple people in common that we know, if you're in that world.
I did the clinical. I don't do stage stuff. Even though I do stage stuff, everything else, I'm an entertainer, but I didn't do like the hypnosis on the stage. But so
Okay.
did you hang out in Salt Lake City? Are you
Well, my husband used to, when he worked in cellular, that was one of his territories.
okay?
Super beautiful in the fall. I
Yep.
mean, you guys have the most gorgeous color range in the mountains. I mean, it is
Yep.
so beautiful. But no, I just know I'm gonna put them in the chat just to see if you know any of these. I think the one, he's in Vegas. Oh, actually I think they're both in Vegas. Maybe they're not in Utah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure I know those names, but yeah, I mean, it was great. And I mean, I don't know. It was one of those things. Yeah. Like I just kind of fell into it. Okay, let's try this out. And yeah, I don't know. I've told this story a lot though. So I don't know. I busted my knee and didn't know what to do, got depressed and became a hypnotist. Short of it. And yeah, fell in love with it. I was school.
You could go and
terrible.
be on cruise ships. You could go and be at resorts. Like there's in the
Yeah.
entertainment space, I bet you there's a lot of opportunity. There's probably a lot of opportunity in the clinical space as well.
Yeah, I've done it a couple times, entertainment wise. I did it one time. I was doing a show, it was a comedy show, and I was second to last person up. And there was two people up after me that did an act together. And I never know what I'm going to do when I go up and do comedy, or I use comedy very loosely. And so I went up and I said, do you want me to tell you a story, or do you guys want to get hypnotized? And then they said, I want to get hypnotized. And so I gave everyone a relaxation hypnosis session. But I didn't think about this, that I was not the last person up. So there's someone after me, and the crowd's just sitting there happy as a clam, but not caring at all about what's going on for the people after me. So I felt kind of bad, and I decided if I'm going to do that, I got to be the only person doing that. So
Right.
yeah, so I learned a few things and felt bad, but
Live
it's
and
fun.
learn. Live and
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah.
Well, Rusty, I'm loving being a guest on your show, right? Great conversationalist, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I kind of talked about myself there for a while.
No,
Didn't-
like
okay.
that's it. Like this is your audience, right? They came for you.
Well, I mean, it's more about the guest. I feel like, yeah, I should, I don't know. So you got to go. You got to.
I do have to go. I do have to
Okay.
go.
All right. Okay. So we didn't even get to talk about anything that you're doing. So why don't you tell people where they can find you? Because we got to know you, which is kind of what the point of the show is, to get to know you. And then it's like, okay,
Yeah.
here it is.
And
And they're like, "What?"
the way
Go
we
ahead.
connected was because of what I do, right? I run one of the best online groups. In fact, it's one of the fastest growing online groups for podcasters to find guests and for guests to get booked. It's a free Facebook group right now, and you can get there by going to needaguest.com. That'll take you right to the Facebook group. We just crossed over 25,000 members. And in the last 6 months, we have almost tripled in size and in growth.
That's
So
great.
it's been pretty exciting. But if you're a podcaster and you're looking for guests, and we are always looking for top podcasters, because our clients come to us because they want us to manage their PR, help them get booked on more podcasts. I have 15 years experience in broadcasting and journalism, and so I have an incredible database, an incredible network. So we have top distribution, we have access to all the top media outlets and podcasters. So it's pretty exciting. We can run it from anywhere, and we do. And so if you're looking for guests, you want to promote your podcast, this is a great group. And then if you are wanting to be interviewed, we also teach you how to be a really great guest on other people's shows.
And you threw me a guest, and so the
Tom
scholar
Palladino with the scalar life energy.
scalar. Yep, the
Yeah.
scalar energy. That was wild. That was
Fascinating.
a cool interview. I think I told you I reached out to you afterwards. But yeah, that was really interesting, and
it's just
yeah,
fascinating. And where else? I mean, that's the beautiful thing about podcasting, right? Is you get to hear these amazing stories. Like, where else would you meet that person? Where else would you hear about that? And so podcasting is it's just exploding right now. It is absolutely exploding. So being in the podcast market, Apple iPhone, just in their newest update, is making it better for your podcasting experience.
Oh.
Like the trend is just off the chain. We are hosting a media podcast summit in August in Denver. And just since we posted it, there's like every time I turn around, well, here's another podcast group, here's another. And so we are actually out acquiring podcast groups to help us to elevate and grow, because we want to become the world's largest marketplace for podcasting.
Awesome.
But, we're just dipping our toe in it and, getting there one baby step at a time.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of people that are, podcasting, and there are a lot of people listening to podcasts all the time. And like you said, people always are listening to something, not always, but a lot of the time. And a lot of the time it's podcasts, and there's something for everybody. And I mean, why not? Why not? And all you need is that $22. If that, you can just use your cell phone is really all you need, and you get on there and you can do that.
That is so true, right? You can start. And I mean, that's when I first started with my very first podcast back in 2008. It was anybody with a cell phone and an internet connection, right? Could have one.
Yep.
You can have it produced, but grow into it, right? Don't feel like it has to be full production to get started. Just start.
Yeah. And yeah, so Angel, thank you so much for coming on and getting to talk with you. And you guys check out the website, check out Angel's other work, make sure you're getting at her. And yeah, thanks so much for getting on here and talking with me for a little while. And hope you have a good rest of your day and go to Disney World or something. Or
yeah,
I don't know.
We'll end up at Epcot tonight, walk around the World Showcase. So it'll be fun.
Perfect. All right. Well, hey, well, have a great rest of your day then.
Thanks so much, Rusty.
Yep. Have a good day. Bye. All right. That's Angel Tuccy. So yeah, check her out. She was, in my, she runs that group, the Need a Guest group on Facebook. And I mean, I'm getting a lot of bookings from that group. And so it's a very wide range of people. A lot of people you're hearing on here are from that group. So again, thank you to Angel for that. That's awesome that she's doing that. And like I said, she hooked me up with the guy with the scalar. If you haven't gone, go back and listen to that one. That's a cool one. You might have to watch it on YouTube to get the full experience, to understand what I don't know if understand is the right word, but kind of understand what he's talking about, because even like being so into it, it's a lot to take in, but it's amazing. It's so cool. So you guys, thanks for listening so much here on the Quantum Global Broadcasting Network, QGBN. And check out other shows such as When the Gloves Come Off, the Thinking Man's Pro Wrestling Podcast, This Is It with Lizzie, and Saved by the Ben. Show is brought to you by Fred Ben Savage as Fuck, Stoneries Productions, Hardcore Entertainment, Hypnosis is Great, and suckemup.org. And that is the show. Man, boom.
It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker. It's Rusty Diamond, motherfucker.
Ernest!
Yes, Pee-wee.
You brought the snacks, right?